It's only something that I've come across over recent years, but it does seem to be something that's asked by many, many recruiters now. What I think you have to think about is, would you take it? If the answer is yes, you can say so. If you don't want to tell them until they offer you the job, you can laugh and make a joke about it and say something like, I'll let you know if you offer it me. But generally, if you really want that job, I would say so. If you don't, you need to think, why are you there at the interview in the first place? If it's that you had thought that you wanted it, but it turns out that during the course of the interview that it's not what you expected, be honest, say that. But don't close off your options. If you're not sure but you want to think about it, say yes. You can always say no at a later date. If you're asked to relocate for the job, you need to again think, are you prepared to do that? It might be that you're quite happy to do so, in which case say so. If, however, you're not, don't feel pressurised into saying it, because at the end of the day, if they offer you the job, you either have to follow through on what you said and move, or you have to turn it down then. My question would be, why didn't you know before that that was likely? Was it not mentioned in a job description? Was this something that's come completely out of the blue? I think if it is something that's come completely out of the blue, it's reasonable for you to say, I don't want to give you a snap judgment on that. I would like to think about it.
Departments may be interested in what your research plans are, and I think it's not so impressive to say, well, I'd like to publish my thesis, even if that's what you are going to do. Have some idea of which things you want to work on in the future, where you want to be in 5 years' time, what you want to have achieved. Do you want to change tack, or do you want to go more deeply into this area? So have a spiel prepared on that. I think it's always impressive when people do that.
I've been in an interview where they've asked me at the end of it, how do you think you've done? And my immediate response was to laugh and say, you can't ask me that. That's a horrible question. Now, obviously, not everybody can do that, and I only recommend doing that if that is something you would naturally do. However, my view was that's not fair, because if I say I think I've done fantastically, and then they say you've not got the job, I look stupid. Or you say, well, I don't think I've done very well. They've thought up until that point that you're great and are going to offer you a certain salary, and then you tell them all the things you've done wrong. Don't do that. I think the best thing to say is, if you think you've done well and you think that they're going to offer you the job, make a joke and say, well, I'll know when you and if you offer me the job. You can say, I thought this went well and I thought this didn't go as well, but always be very positive. So maybe you've learned something from what you think you didn't do well, but my advice would be generally never talk negatively about yourself in an interview, and don't give them a list of things that you've done wrong. If anything, just smile and say, yes, I enjoyed it. It was a very good interview. If at the end of the interview they ask you, is there anything that you would have liked us to ask you? Again, I don't think you should be pressured into thinking up an answer. If there's something that you feel they've not asked you that you feel is relevant, then say so. If not, say no.
Everybody who is currently interviewing you has been in the position that you're in now of being interviewed. But also most of them will probably have been rejected from most of the jobs they've gone in for. And I think that should help you to feel that again, they're only human like you, and they haven't always had it easy. It's incredibly painful not getting a job you've gone in for, that you really wanted. So it's quite important to remember that that is the majority experience of the majority of people most of the time. I think that probably helps a bit.
Start enjoying it, because I started being very negative, thinking, I won't have anywhere to live, I won't be able to afford to live, my PhD funding runs out, and getting into the negative thought processes was actually not making me very appealing in terms of marketing myself. People are always going on about the academic job market, but and how difficult it is. But if you keep the positive mindset, something will come up. That's my advice.